people on the folks that give various people on various sides of the political fence would, like, what would you say is the shining golden god of republicanism? That would probably be Reagan, right? I mean, like, some people kid themselves and act like Abraham Lincoln would be the Republican ideal. But, you know, comparing him or putting him in a setting that has any relevance to today, it is kind of a moot point. And if you want to look at, who are the folks that the people on the left like to idolize? You know, Kennedy, that's a bit of a hallowed name. Maybe Clinton, because Clinton was the only one who went out on a high note in a long time. His approval rating was up when he stopped being in the White House. So, you know, the folks on the left like Clinton, the folks on the right like Reagan. On the right, it's Reagan. On the right, it's Reagan, and it is Lincoln. And on the left, it is, of course, like we said, Clinton and Kennedy. But people love to trot out this rhetoric, this argument now. Like, you'll hear right-wing types talk about Kennedy and go, Kennedy wasn't today's Democrat. He stood for something. He got things done. He sent a man to the moon. And you know what? They kind of have a point. Very different Democratic parties. I mean, back in Kennedy's time, the vast majority of black people in America were voting Republican. Why? Because the Democrats were viewed as this largely Southern thing, and the Democrats were synonymous with the KKK. So, you know, things evolve and change and shift. And what you learn, the deeper you dig into any of this stuff, is that bottom line, these names, these titles that we like to assign ourselves, well, I'm just going to go in local election and vote all Democrat. Do you really know the people you're voting for? No, because it requires so much homework. You just vote down the line Democrat. And you don't really know the individual behind every last elected official position. No, you don't, because it's impossible to know. But doesn't it speak to how ultimately broken what we're doing is, and how completely meaningless labeling yourself a Democrat or a Republican is? And here's the thing. Don't register as anything. I'm a registered Republican. I'm a registered Democrat. Ooh, no, bad idea. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But yeah, a local reporter asked Bill Clinton what's the difference between a Clinton Democrat and an Obama Democrat. Clinton refused to answer. He said that, I don't want to get into all that politics. It's about people. It's about what kind of future Kentucky wants. He was in Kentucky at the time. You got to start voting for the people that will help you and not be distracted. Now, that was some dancing around the question. I don't think he wanted to answer because, well, a lot of people on the right would say there is no difference. There's one very real difference. Approval rating. But the idea of being a Clinton Democrat or a Reagan Republican, so pointless, so meaningless. It just, if you label yourself one way, then you've got this knee-jerk reaction against. You've got this knee-jerk reaction where you have to declare allegiance to stuff that makes no sense just because you registered yourself as something. Don't fall into that trap. This is about as meaningful as labeling yourself a Republican or a Democrat, a Clinton Democrat. You know how much weight that particular title holds? About as much weight as Kevin Spacey doing his Clinton impersonation, which he did on The Tonight Show. Did you hear this?
When there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you going to call? That's right, Ghostbusters. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Pretty much as meaningful as the political process of labeling yourself a Republican or a Democrat at the moment is. He did a Dynamite Christopher Walken, too.
Trick or treat. Smell my feet. Give me something good to eat. If you don't, oh no, I don't care. I'll pull down your underwear.
All that was really, really impressive, and I didn't really know that Kevin Spacey did impressions of folks, but it paled in comparison to this, is Johnny Carson.
Listen, I love a good costume party. It's Halloween. A lot of people are dressing up, of course, as ghosts and witches and goblins and vampires. But this year, I've decided I'm going as the scariest creature in the world, my ex-wife.
So why would we not want to register? This is reason numero uno right here. Democrats in New York have gone big brother on voters. Tomorrow's election day. And they've sent out a rather threatening letter. What did it say? It said, "We will be reviewing voting records to determine whether you joined your neighbors who voted in 2014. If you do not vote this year, we will be interested to hear why not." That's a letter that went out. Really? What kind of, veiled threat is that? We'll be interested to find why you didn't vote. Me, because I don't like any of the candidates, and I don't mean to preclude myself from common sense by getting out and voting for people that I think suck. Anyways, the New York State Democratic Committee now using intimidation to get out the vote. Yeah. A self-described Democrat says he's incensed by the letter because it's none of their business whether he votes or not, or why I may or may not choose to vote. And you know what? He's right.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Jimmy Page to discuss what immediately followed the disbanding of the Yardbirds.
Well, the Yardbirds actually folded in July of 68. We are actually recording in October. I say we, the Led Zeppelin, and Robert, are recording in September, right at the end of September, and in October 68. So in between that time, from the end of July, I'm searching for a singer, and I'm looking for Terry Reid. And if you hear any of the Terry Reid stuff, you know exactly what way I was sort of going. Unfortunately, by the time he was located, he'd already signed a solo deal, so he was sort of out of the equation. I went to see Robert, and I invited him to come to my house to go through material. And at the time, it was under the sort of cloak of invisibility almost of the New Yardbirds.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Jimmy Page and all your favorite artists. iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Jimmy Page to discuss what the most important things to nurture and cherish really are.
I was self-taught, but I did have to take on the role of reading music, or I would have got kicked. Well, I could have got kicked out of sessions on the very first one that I did if I'd have been had no discipline, and because that's what they needed. They needed people to deliver. But how important all the academic side was, and how I understood how important that it was, but also the fact that if you have your own character in music and your own personality, and you're lucky enough to find that you can be able to write a few things, then that is so important to nourish and cherish as well.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Jimmy Page and all your favorite artists.
Delivering fascinating subjects, interesting talk, and boobs and fart jokes. AD on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah. You've been talking about me.
So one of the people that listens to the show and contributes on a regular basis, Carmen, did my job and Funkhauser's job for us. You might recall that we were talking a little bit about the Gary Busey commercial that we referenced earlier in the show. I love this commercial, and I love it specifically for the part where he goes, "Yay!" Go on, Funkhauser.
If you're like me, you like talking to things. Like,
Hello, Lab.
Oh, Gary. See? Hello, pants.
Thank you, fish, for being here.
But it's frustrating when things don't listen, especially high-tech things. Find Gary Busey.
Find Gary Busey.
But this new Amazon Fire TV listens to me and does exactly what I say. Gary Busey.
Yay! Amazon Fire TV.
Justifies the entire commercial. Yay! So, good news, perverts. You're not as freaky deaky as you thought you were. A new study out of Canada finds that people have so many specific sexual fantasies that you're not as much of a freaking weirdo as you think you are for some of the things that are knocking around in your head. You don't know why a threesome with dwarves dressed as Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World gives you a funny feeling in the pants, but it does, and that seems weird, right? That seems like something you should keep to yourself, something you should be vaguely ashamed of. Turns out, not so much. Your sexual fantasies, no matter how twisted or how deviant or how odd they are apparently totally normal. Massive new study out of the University of Montreal found that people have so many specific, detailed, unusual sexual fantasies that, well, so many of them that it's hard to say they're unusual. It's hard to say that any fantasy is rare at all. There's a few more results from the study that I found to be kind of interesting. Men have more fantasies than women and describe them more vividly. Women are always saying that we lack imagination. They're just not taking into account all the imaginative effort we put into things with boobs. No, we describe them more vividly in 3D. And by the way, if you're one of those people that believes in like the power of goal setting and, inviting certain stuff into your life or your mind or what have you, picturing things vividly makes them more likely to happen, apparently. Yeah. When they're sharp and in color and in 3D, there's more of a likelihood that that one is going to come true. So, picture away with your vivid and odd sexual fantasies. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't picture them vividly if they involve things that are illegal or what have you. Up to 3 out of 5 women fantasize about being tied up. And women are more likely to fantasize about their partner, whereas men are more likely to fantasize about someone else. Funkhauser. Going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Do you have something that you find to be completely depraved that you maybe wouldn't share with people, that given this particular piece of knowledge that I just laid on, you feel okay about letting into the ether of radio world?
Oh, so just like that. You want me to tell you and everybody there what I do behind closed doors?
No, just in your mind, not necessarily behind closed doors.
Where I go in my mind?
Yeah.
I go to the grotto.
What, Hugh Hefner's grotto?
Oh, yeah.
That's strangely tame by comparison. I read this and I was like, I don't have anything knocking around in the old cerebellum that is all that unusual or weird or odd or could get me locked up if I actually did it. Some of it would be hideously ill-advised, but I'm going through the depths of my most depraved fantasies, and there's nothing in there that involves a goat or an amputee or a greased cactus or anything. I don't have any fantasies that I really feel as though I should be ashamed of. I don't know. Maybe I've come to the conclusion that I'm mind-numbingly boring. I really don't like to do anything on the weekends, and when pushed to come up with a grotesque or weird fantasy, I don't have anything.
You don't go to like the beach? You were just talking about, going to the ocean, and maybe that's your place.
Yeah, maybe but that's not a weird fantasy. That's just going to watch the waves go in and out. But like the thing about, I'm boring, because like everybody has this idea of like, oh, you're a rock DJ and you work with all these rock stations and you work with rock stars and things like your weekends must be crazy, just crazy, and they're not. like, I like to go home and do nothing when at all possible. I don't know. Like, I always get that moment, that cause for pause when I meet a new neighbor for the first time, where they're just like,